Hello, my name is David Nolan, and I'm the host of Actuary Voices, the podcast from the American Academy of Actuaries. Today, I'll be talking with Melissa McDermott, the Chief Actuary at Everest Insurance, about her adoption and use of artificial intelligence. Melissa, welcome to Actuary Voices.
Thank you for having me here, David. It's great to be here.
It is great to have you. So, let's start with the tough question, shall we? You've been in the industry for about 30 years, and I'm always interested to find out how people or why people picked the path that they chose. What is it about this profession that led you to becoming an actuary?
It actually takes me all the way back to high school. I was growing up in Ohio, knew I loved math. And at that point in time, I thought you could only be a teacher or professor. Didn't really understand what other opportunities were out there. I was planning on going to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and was out there for a school visit where I met with a college professor. And when I was meeting with them, that's when they started talking to me about different options you could have with a math degree. And it was the first time I ever heard of actuarial science. And to me, what made it most exciting was the blend of math and business. And that one conversation honestly changed everything for me. I ended up changing my college, ended up going to Ohio State because they offered actuarial science as a degree. Looking back, it's really amazing that one conversation shaped the entire course of my career, where I ended up going to college. And that ultimate led me to where I am today at Everest.
Sure. It's fascinating because there are some people who've been on the show and it's a neighbor or an uncle or even a parent or somebody much closer. Other people almost fall into the profession accidentally. We've had a couple of classics majors who've become actuaries on this show. But it is very refreshing when you meet an academic who doesn't necessarily try and steer you into their particular specialty because they want to keep the best people for them. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, and I never even heard of it before I met with that professor at Miami University.
Great. Well, there you go. And now you're a chief actuary. So some people think of chief actuary as having an immense amount of technical expertise, and other people see it as they're actually a manager and they don't do very much actuarial work. How would you describe your role?
I would say my role today is probably around 60 to 80% leadership and strategy, and maybe 20 to 40% technical. And the technical is much less about hands on work that I'm doing myself. It's more about guiding the work, challenging it, making sure that it makes sense. And a large part of the role today is really helping teams navigate through change. Because the one thing that we know for sure is change is constant. And to me, a strong leader brings people along through that change rather than just announcing it. And AI is simply the latest example of a major shift that's impacting actuaries today, including my team at Everest. During periods of major change, the role becomes a lot less technical focused and more about helping people make sense of the change and helping everybody move forward together.
That's good you mentioned that because obviously navigating change can be the most difficult the things that people have to do. Do you have any particular tips that you always fall back on when you're looking at a significant change in the work?
Biggest thing I would recommend is listening to your team. And it's listening that really helps you be a differentiator as a manager. It's the leaders who adapt well are the ones that listen to their team and understand where their hesitation comes from. Because if you don't understand what's making people uncertain, you can't help them move through it. To me, the best leaders bring people into the process, give them ownership, help them see how the change can help them rather than just disrupt their entire life.
I totally agree. Having open channels of communication, both within a team and across other teams in the organization, is vital for the ship to stay on course. But yeah, I hear you that, having camaraderie, that people feel comfortable talking to you about their concerns and their trepidations is a significant part of the battle in trying to navigate through change.
And to me, as I said, it's the ones who listen and it's the ones who help empower their team to be a part of it. That's the key to success.
Right. Well, let's talk about something specific. You mentioned AI, and obviously that is a huge, huge part of what we're all doing now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you feel it can make actuaries stronger?
When I think about this, it's funny thinking through all the changes that actuaries have gone through. Like every single major technology shift before, AI is not, in my opinion, replacing the actual expertise. It's just amplifying it. And I always like to give examples from my own personal life. And when I think about when I was a kid, we'd go on family vacations. My dad would be driving, and my mom would be sitting there with the maps, with the flip chicks from AAA. And that's just how we traveled. That was the norm. And you think about today, it's almost instinctual for us to enter into Waze or Google Maps where we're going. We're using AI every day in some instances, and it's embedded into our daily life. And to me, it's become second nature. And that's what I think actuaries need to do when they think about AI today in their normal job. It's that second nature. Can this help me do my job better? That we have to make almost instinctual. Technology, as you know, has been changing forever for actuaries. We went from before my time, we had mainframes and punch cards. And when I started, we had spreadsheets and databases, Excels, Python. And each time the tools improved, actuaries did not become less relevant. I think that's really important to remember. We became faster, more accurate, and more valuable. And in my mind, AI is just the next step. It's not taking away the importance of actuaries. And the way I like to think about it is it's another tool in our toolkit. It's not replacing actuaries. It helps us do more. It can process large volumes of data, come up with patterns, support analysis, and remove a lot of the heavy lift that we used to do. And that gives us more time to focus on interpretation, judgment, solving business problems. And that's why I feel like AI truly can make us stronger.
Sure. Do you have some specific examples of the improvements it can make to your workflows? Because, it can crunch data. I appreciate that. But have you seen some specific things that take hours rather than days now?
The one area that I would say actuaries have been using it for a while, and I'm seeing the biggest impact is coding. It's saving so much time right now on coding itself and improving efficiencies. We're using it at Everest to check code, debug, translate code between languages, and document our work much, much faster than we did before. If you think about it in the past, you had to understand SAS in order to be able to code from one language to another. Right now, AI is able to translate the code to help you. And that is a massive time changer. It lowers the friction of some of the technical work, it helps people move faster. And I honestly see that as an immediate game changer.
Is it all upside, though? Have you seen some mistakes that folks have made and lived to regret them?
Well, I would say it's realizing that it's not going to take you 100% there. I would say that we've discovered it can get you 90% there a lot of the times, but it might not get you that last 10% that you're going to have to continue to do a lot on your own. And to me, the important thing is not relying it to be 100% correct because you're still going to have to test it and make sure that those assumptions are reasonable.
Sure. I read a piece that said that among the professional classes, there are three broad groups of people. There's the all in on AI folks. There's the people who understand it and are very concerned about it. And then there's the people who just reject it outright. Do you think there's any overhype going on, or do you think the hype is justified?
I would say it's a blend. Do I feel that AI is a powerful tool and can help us be more efficient and get things done faster? Yes, it helps us get started faster, process information faster. Where I think is the overhype is that it can simply replace expertise or judgment. It can't do that. People often think if you put in a question that the answer is always going to be complete and correct. That's not the case. You're going to always have to have that layer of human judgment and oversight. And especially in our profession, it's critical where decisions and input matter.
Right. I feel that, when you're explaining complicated concepts or findings to principals, then they will rely on the face that they know and trust over the years. Those relationships that people have, or even developing new ones. I'm not saying you can't start from scratch, but if you hand them a paper printout or send them an email saying, oh, this is what we should do, there's an awful lot of money involved. And they'll want to hear from somebody about why this is the right assumption, why we need this amount of reserves, rather than simply reading it and saying, we'll go with that.
I pushed the button and it gave me the answer. That's not what people are going to want. They're going to want to understand the why, the how, what's causing it to move in this direction. And that's the human element that would be missing.
Yeah, right. Let me take a moment to remind listeners that you're listening to Actuary Voices, the podcast from the American Academy of Actuaries. On this podcast, we talk to Academy volunteers and friends, as well as leaders of the Academy, about what inspires them about their work, both professionally or as a friend of or volunteer with the Academy. Please subscribe to Actuary Voices on your preferred podcast platform. And now, back to my conversation with Melissa McDermott. This work is obviously a huge opportunity for actuaries, but do you see an expansion in the role of actuaries as a result of the development of AI?
I think we're going to be relied on even more for our technical oversight and our judgment in terms of how we're using AI. From a coding perspective, I feel it allows us to move faster and modeling and output faster than we did before, but it's going to allow you more time to focus thinking, understanding it, and really having that human oversight. And so I think that's where the big change is going to be.
Right. And what kind of advice would you give to an early career actuary or an aspiring actuary about utilizing AI?
This is a good question because I was talking to my son about this in college. And for his generation, using AI, that's just the norm. They're using it to help structure papers. If he doesn't understand something in class, he's using AI to help explain it in a way that he can understand it better. And to me, it's learning that natural mindset to start with AI. To me, that's what I highly recommend. What's interesting too is that a lot of colleges today are making kids take AI literacy classes. So I would encourage anyone who's still in college, take as many classes as you can to help build that mindset because that's going to set you up in the future. And when you're starting your early career job, look for opportunities that you feel AI can make a difference. And don't wait for someone else to share that idea. Be open minded. Tell your boss, take the initiative on your own, bring those ideas forward. To me, that's really, really important and it can make a difference. And it's those people who have that mindset, especially early in their careers, it can really set you apart from everybody else.
Is that what you meant when you said a little while ago about having an instinct for AI, that you really build it into everything you do so that it just comes naturally?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the college kids have that instinct. So I would recommend when they're working at their desktop and they see something that they can automate and they have an idea to make it more efficient, run with it, go with it, because that's going to help future generations. So don't wait for it to happen to you. Share those ideas.
I'm going to switch course if I may for a few minutes, but I'm always interested in what actuaries think is the biggest challenge to the profession in the coming period.
To me, the biggest challenge is making sure people continue to understand that it's a tool. It's not a silver bullet. The answers that you get out could be hallucinogens. It could be wrong. It could be biased. It's our role as an actuary to make sure that the results in the pricing models that we're building and the inputs aren't biased. So it's really important to make sure you're questioning everything that's coming out of it and make sure it's accurate.
And do you feel the actuarial profession is all in on AI? Do you feel that generally the folks you're working with, the team you're leading, the people you interact with, that they have a similar view and that they are very keen to test the limits of AI?
To me, it depends on how you introduce it to your team. If you're introducing it to your team as this is AI and this is something that we have to do, it can change the whole mindset in terms of how it's being adapted. It's really important to make sure that you're bringing your team along the journey, sharing initiatives, getting them involved from the very beginning. Actuaries are a very competitive group. I'm sure you know that. If we're having a contest in terms of who has the most impactful AI initiative that they're working on, and they get a prize. The prize honestly could be anything, but they want to be a winner. They want to be highlighted and recognized. And to me, it's about getting the team excited, getting them to support it, sharing all of the ideas that individuals are using to make it better. And that really creates a buzz and an excitement that really gets the team to embrace AI, that it is just another tool and it's not really being released to replace them. It's being released to make us stronger so they can rely on our minds, our judgments, rather than just raw output.
Right. Melissa, is there anything else around AI that you'd like to raise?
To me, one of the big things I wanted to highlight because people ask, how do you start using AI? And to me, it's starting your day every day to say, okay, is there something out there that I feel like AI can make a difference? It's pausing before you start any project. Could AI help me do this better, faster, or more efficiently? It's creating that instinct. And if you don't consciously do this every single day, it does not become instinctual. Even when I'm working on a project that I feel like I have all of the answers in terms of getting me going, I reach out to I ask it some questions, and sometimes it's confirming exactly what I was thinking. And in other times, it's adding ideas that I never thought of before. So it's taking that extra step, pausing and trying to think through, do you feel like this could help me solve this problem?
Sure. I read a piece called Something Big is Happening by Matt Schumer, and he writes a lot about AI. And towards the end of it, he had some pieces of advice. And one of them was use AI for an hour a day and just test its abilities, test how it works for you. And that 1 hour a day is worth it, which is obviously a not insignificant amount of anybody's workday. If you put that investment in it, it will have a huge return for you.
And it comes from top down leadership showing that they're using it as well. It's just not a tool for entry level hires. It starts at the top and showing that you're using it as part of a tool in your toolkit, all the way down to someone straight from college. Making sure you're sharing and communicating all of that is critical to having it be embraced within the team.
Sure. And yeah, somebody said to me this morning that, back in the day, early days of Google, people used to sort of confess to having used Google to find something out. Then it became second nature. And now we're moving on to the next big thing, which is AI. And, I think it's right that people say, okay, well, I used AI to get a start on this. I think that's perfectly legitimate because it can get a lot of the grunt work out of the way. But as long as you go through it and check the hallucinogens and so on, you should be in a very, very good space.
And it was learning for me as well. I mean, when I first started using AI myself, I had no idea what a hallucinogen was. I'm like, what? You have to check the facts to make sure that what it's presenting to you is real.
Sure.
So we're all learning.
Exactly. We talked a lot about work. I'd like to know, Melissa, what do you do for fun?
I wish I could say it was cooking, but my family would say that's definitely not the case. I'm better at doing takeout ordering, but I really enjoy being with my family, hiking, and going on family vacations together is the highlights of my life.
They are great highlights to have. Melissa, thank you very much for this great conversation. I've really enjoyed listening to you and learning from you. We tend to end each episode with giving our guests a question that the previous guest asked, and then asking you to give the next guest a question. So, our last guest asked, how do you engage with the Academy's work products and what makes them more valuable for you and your colleague?
Well, thank you for that question. To me, I feel that the Academy plays a really important role. They bring the actuaries together and help advance thinking across the actuarial field. And any work that helps keep actuaries connected, whether it's emerging issues, practical applications, or ongoing professional development, is so incredibly valuable. And I want to say thank you for everything that the Academy is providing. But given how quickly AI is evolving, I especially appreciate the Academy's recognition of the growing importance and the resources that it's providing in supporting the continued education, the guidance, and practical tools to help actuaries use AI thoughtfully and effectively. To me, that's really important as we hit this new wave of technology.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Now, your turn. What question would you like to ask our next guest?
So, given the conversation that we had today, I would like to ask, how are you using AI in your work and day to day life to become more efficient? And what have you found the most valuable so far?
Perfect. And when we get the answer, I'll share it with you and all our listeners. Melissa McDermott, thank you very, very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Thank you as well, David.
You've been listening to my conversation with Melissa McDermott, the Chief Actuary at Everest Insurance. My name is David Nolan, and I'm the host of Actuary Voices, the podcast of the American Academy of Actuaries. Please visit our website, actuary.org, for a wealth of information about the work that the Academy does, including all of our work on artificial intelligence. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. And of course, please subscribe to this podcast on your preferred podcast platform.